Hello everybody, Clayton here at etrailer.com. Here at etrailer.com, we install, test, and review tons of different products to help you as a customer make a more educated decision before your purchase. Today we're going to be working on a 2013 Jeep Wrangler. We're going to be taking a look at, and I'll walk you through how to install the Roadmaster Diode Wiring Kit. Our diode wiring is going to be one of the key components in our flat towing setup. We're going to have our diode wiring, of course, our supplemental braking system, our tow bar, our safety cables, and our base plate. Our diode wiring is going to allow us to get all those necessary lighting functions from our RV to our Jeep. This is just going to help us travel safely down the roadway. Now there are a couple different ways to get lighting to the back of your towed vehicle. In this case we're going to use the diodes, but you can also do magnetic lights. But with a Jeep with a soft top, it's kind of hard to get magnets to stick, and then it's just not, it doesn't look as good. So when we use the diodes, we get to use our factory taillights, and it just looks a whole lot cleaner. With our diodes, we're going to get our running lights, our brake lights, and our turn signals. So like I said, this is going to allow us to travel safely, and everybody's going to be able to see what we're doing. And it's going to help prevent backfeed from our wiring. Personally, this is my favorite setup just because it's all encased into our taillight housing. It looks super clean, don't have to worry about the magnets or the wires or anything hanging off the back of our Jeep. And in terms of installation, getting our diodes installed really isn't that bad. In my personal opinion, the hardest part is running the wire from the front of our Jeep all the way to the back. With that being said, I'll go ahead and walk you through how to get it installed now. To start our installation, we want to grab our wiring. Now, I prefer to run it from front to back. That way we don't have a whole bunch of extra at the front when we're all said and done. So what I'm going to do is grab our wiring. I'm just going to tie a knot around our base plate with a little bit of extra on the front. That way if we have to come back later and make any adjustments, we'll have plenty of extra. I'm going to run this from the front to the back, and I'll show you the path we took. Our wire comes up right here, comes behind our bumper beam. I just zip tied it to a factory line right here, kind of ran it over to right here. Again, zip tied it to our factory line. It is important to stay away from anything hot or moving. So I ran it up and over our support brace here, and then along that wiring there. And then I tucked it into the frame right here, pulled it down our frame rail all the way. That way it's nice and protected. We don't have to worry about it getting damaged. It goes up through the frame and then comes out right here. And I just went ahead and separated our brown and our yellow wire from our white and our green, and then pushed it through another hole in the frame rail over to here. We now want to move up to the top of our Jeep. We're going to want to take off our taillight guards. We're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver to take these off. Now we just want to grab our taillight assembly, kind of lift out. What we want to do is unplug our connectors. There's going to be a little tab right here. We're just going to push down on that tab, kind of pull out on our connector. I'm going to repeat that same process for the bottom one. Just like so. And we actually want to pull this connector off of our tail lamp assembly. Just like so. We can set our assembly off to the side. We're going to be using this connector here. Our taillight signal is going to run off this white and orange wire, and our brake light signal is going to run off of this white wire with the green stripe. Now what we want to do is peel back this electrical tape to expose more wiring and give us enough room to make our connections. Now we want to get our yellow and our brown wire pulled up. I'm just going to use an Airline tube and push this through, and that's just going to help us pull that wiring up. But you can use a coat hanger or a string with a nut on the end, basically anything you have at home. So we're just going to slide this through. There's going to be a little bit of opening there to get our Airline tube through. We just want to grab some electrical tape and then just tape the end of our brown and yellow wire to the Airline tube, and then we'll pull it through. Now we want to trim off the excess of each of our wires. We're actually going to save our extra yellow wire and use that as a jumper to get our taillight signal to the passenger side. So we can grab these wires again since they fell down. We're just going to add a connector to the yellow wire, one of the blue ones. We're going to do something, like I said, a little bit different with this brown wire. So you just want to strip back our yellow wire, just like so. You can grab our blue butt connector or blue spade connector I should say. Just slide that over. And then all we want to do is crimp that down. And I do always like to give these a little tug, make sure they're nice and secure. Now we actually just want to grab one of our diodes. We're going to plug the yellow wire into the in signal. Now we can just let that hang and it'll keep our wires from dropping. Now we want to take our cutters. We're just going to cut back this white wire with a green stripe for our stop and turn signal. We want to strip back both ends. And both of these will be getting a blue spade connector. I'm going to grab our diode, and our out signal is going to go to the plug. Just going to plug that in like so. Then our other end is going to go to our in signal. We'll just plug that in just like that. Now we're going to cut our white and orange wire. We're just going to strip back both ends and add butt connector or spade connectors. We'll just plug in our diode. And remember, the out signal goes to our plug, and our other wire is going to go to the in. That'll complete our factory circuit. Now we want to grab our brown wire. We're actually going to strip this back pretty far, just like so. Now we can grab that excess yellow wire. We'll strip back that yellow wire pretty far as well. And all we're going to do is take our brown and our yellow wire like so, and then twist them together. And again, this is going to be used as a jumper wire to get the taillight signal to our passenger side. So with those spun together, we'll want to grab our cutters. We'll trim back that wire. And this is where we're going to use that yellow spade connector. We're just going to slide that over our wires and then crimp it down firmly. Now I just want to grab that yellow connector and make our last connection to our taillight diode. Now we just want to take our wire and push it back through our hole where we pulled that other wiring up. We just want to take the two-sided tape off of each diode. We'll just stick these together. Now we can reinstall our tail lamp assembly in the reverse order we took it apart. We can now remove our passenger side tail lamp the same way that we did over on the driver's side. Now we want to run our jumper wire for our taillight signal and our green wire over to the passenger side. We're just going to follow this factory wiring, kind of zip tie it around our back hitch and over. We're going to pull it up to our taillight the same way that we did on the driver's side. The wires come out right here. Like I said, I ran them along our back frame rail here, then zip tied it to a bracket up here, then pulled it through a hole in the frame rail to right here. Now we're going to use that same trick with the Airline tube to get our wires up to our taillights. We're going to ground our wire right here. It's just a good flat spot and it's not too thick. So you want to grab our white ground wire. I'm going to trim off a little bit extra. Then we are going to strip that back. We'll grab our ring terminal and crimp it down. Over on our passenger side, we're going to be using the purple and white wire as our taillight signal and the yellow and the white wire for our stoplight signal. So we're just going to trim these back like we did over on the driver's side. I always like to leave a lot extra. It's just a little bit easier to work with. And again, we're going to be cutting that white wire with the purple stripe and the white wire with the yellow stripe. We're just going to strip these back and add spade connectors. Now I want to grab our diode. We're going to plug our purple and white wire into the out signal. And grab our other purple and white wire from the factory harness. Plug that into our in signal, just like so. And we can grab our yellow wire. In this case, it's our brown wire. We'll just plug that into our diode, like so. We can grab our other diode, yellow and white wire to the plug for the out signal. We'll grab the one from the harness for the in signal, then our green wire for the other in signal. Just like so. We're going to stick these together just like we did over on the driver's side. We can now reinstall our tail lamp assembly in the reverse order that we took it apart. With everything hooked up to our alternate power source, we can now test it out. As you can see, our taillights are on. We'll do our left turn, our brake lights, and our right turn. Now we can get the rest of our flat towing components installed and hook up to our RV. With the rest of our flat towing components installed, we're now ready to come back and mount our plug on the front. And just to remind you, our kit isn't going to come with a plug, but you can find one here at etrailer.com. Now, I just went ahead and separated our wires. I always like to cut a little bit extra. That way if we do have to come back in the future and make any changes, we'll have extra wire to do so. So we're just going to trim this away right here. Now we can grab our wire strippers and just strip back the ends. And before we put our plug in, I just added a couple extra wires. This is going to be our auxiliary and our supply in the future if our customer desires to add those components. Now all of our wires are going to be marked on the outside of our receptacles. So we're just going to put the according wire into each socket. So we're just going to slide our wire into the receptacle like so. And you do want to make sure that there's no wires exposed on the outside. And that's just going to keep everything nice and sealed. We'll do that and grab a small Phillips head screwdriver and just tighten down that screw. With everything hooked up to our RV, we are now ready to hit the road. That's going to do it for our look at and the installation on our 2013 Jeep Wrangler.